Welcome to Y-Stick. You are holding a leash right now, or maybe you are sitting next to something warm and soft that is breathing slowly, watching you with eyes that seem to understand. And for a moment, you feel it, that strange, wordless connection, like you have known each other forever, like something ancient is passing between you. You have no idea how right you are, because the story of how that animal came to be lying at your feet is not a story about training or breeding or clever human. It is a story about two species at the edge of extinction, reading each other across a firelit darkness and making a decision that rewired both of their brains permanently. Forever. It started with wolves, not the friendly ones, the dangerous ones. About 15,000 years ago, somewhere in Eurasia, though some researchers believe it began even earlier, perhaps 30,000 years ago, bands of ancient humans were barely holding on. Ice ages came and went. Food. The cold was relentless, and somewhere just beyond the light of their fires, wolves circled. These were not the wolves you might imagine, timid creatures keeping their distance. These were apex predators, highly intelligent, hunting in coordinated packs, reading social signals with remarkable precision. They were, in many ways, a mirror of the humans they watched. And then something almost impossible happened. The distance between them began to shrink. Hare, an evolutionary anthropologist at Duke University, has spent decades studying what he calls the domestication hypothesis. His research suggests that the process did not begin with humans selecting wolves on purpose. It began with wolves selecting themselves. The wolves that were slightly less afraid of humans, the ones that did not bolt at the first sign of firelight, had access to something the others did not. They had access to scraps, to warmth, to protection. And over generations, those wolves had more surviving offspring than the fearful ones. Natural selection did the work that humans never planned, but the wolves were changing in ways that went far deeper than behavior. Researchers studying what is known as the domestication syndrome, a cluster of physical and neurological changes that appear across domesticated species, found that something strange happens when you selectively breed for reduced fear of humans. The adrenal stress hormones drop. Faces become softer, more juvenile. Floppy ears appear. And crucially, the capacity for emotional sensitivity explodes. The wolves were not just becoming tamer. They were becoming emotionally attuned in a way that no wild animal had ever been. Bridgett vonHoldt, a molecular biologist at Princeton University, published a landmark study in 2017 identifying a specific genetic mutation that appears in domesticated dogs. This mutation affects a region of the genome linked to hypersociability, an extreme orientation towards seeking out and bonding with others. It is the same region, vonHoldt noted, that in humans is associated with Williams syndrome, a condition characterized by an almost overwhelming impulse toward friendliness and social connection. Dogs were not just domesticated. They were genetically rewritten to love you. But here is the part that changes everything. The wolves were not the only ones being changed. The humans were too. When you look into your dog's eyes, something happens in your brain. Oxytocin, the same hormone released during mother-infant bonding, floods your system. And researchers discovered something even stranger. The dog's brain does the same thing. When dogs and humans make eye contact, both species experience a mutual oxytocin surge, not dog to dog, not human to human, only when the two. Takefumi Kikusui, a researcher at Azabu University in Japan, documented this loop in 2015. His team found that dog owner pairs who gazed at each other for extended periods showed significant spikes in oxytocin for both species. Wolves, even raised by humans from birth, did not show this response. It was not about familiarity. It was about something that had been bred into dogs and something that had been rewired into humans across thousands. You are not simply fond of your dog. You are biologically bonded to it in a way that evolution engineered. Now think about what that bonding did to ancient humans. Wolves were already extraordinary hunters, tracking prey over vast distances, coordinating complex group attacks, reading terrain and wind and behavior with a precision that early humans could not match alone. When those proto-dogs began following human camps, they brought all of that with them. They could hear threats before any human ear could detect them. They could track wounded animals through darkness that left humans blind. They could run down prey that would have escaped human hunters entirely. The partnership did not just make hunting easier. It made survival possible. Some researchers have argued that without this alliance, anatomically modern humans might not have outcompeted Neanderthals, who appear to have had no such relationship with wolves. Neanderthals were physically stronger, adapted to cold, and had inhabited Europe for hundreds of thousands of years. And then, within a geological eye blink of humans arriving with dogs, they were gone. The timing is provocative. The argument is contested. But the question lingers. Did dogs help humans inherit the Earth? What is not contested is the cognitive impact. Living in close alliance with dogs, animals that could read human gestures, follow human gaze, respond to human emotional states, may have put evolutionary pressure on human social intelligence itself. The groups that were better at communicating with dogs were better hunters, better protected, better fed. Their children survived. Their social structures became more complex. You may be sitting here today, reading this, thinking in the language you think in, because somewhere in your ancestry, someone looked into the eyes of a wolf at the edge of a fire and did not look away. And the wolf did not look away either. That is the strange truth buried inside the ordinary moment of walking your dog around the block or watching it sleep on your floor. That animal is not a tamed wild thing. It is the product of one of the longest and most intimate collaborations in the history of life on Earth. Its genome was rewritten to love your species. Its brain lights up with the same chemistry as yours. It watches your face the way you watch your closest friends, reading your expressions, tracking your moods, anticipating your needs with an accuracy that sometimes feels almost supernatural. And your brain, shaped by thousands of years of this alliance, responds to its presence with the same chemical warmth it reserves for the people closest to you. You did not tame the wolf. The wolf did not simply submit. Two species looked at each other across a fire, and, over centuries too slow for any individual to notice, built something that neither of them could have survived without. Tonight, when you reach down to scratch behind those ears, you are completing a circuit that is 15,000 years old. And somewhere deep in the part of your brain that was already ancient when written language was invented, you already knew that. You always knew that. If you want to keep understanding yourself, subscribe. And if you watched this far, what do you want to understand next?